Hey there. Hey there. I just thought that I'd talk for a second about sensitivity. It's a funny subject, and I feel like it gets a bad rap. Some people, I've heard people say things like, oh, you're like too sensitive, and it's like, I think sometimes the word sensitivity gets confused with, or not confused, but it gets tied with the idea of fragility, and they are not the same thing. So, sensitivity, as I understand it, is the ability to tell the difference. It is the ability to register nuance for what it's worth, very slight differences, sensitive, like how a microscope can pick up very faint light signals and things like that. Or my camera, my camera, it when I take a picture and you can zoom in, it can see farther than my eyes can see because the sensor is more sensitive than my eyes or whatever. And so another interesting device that relies on sensitivity is something called an interferometric bidimensional spectropolarimeter, which is a device that is used by scientists in order to study solar physics and space weather. And so it's important for it to have quite a degree of sensitivity, or just like the new thing, the James Webb telescope that's gone up in the air. It has massive amounts more sensitivity. I think, like, just say it's like 10 times more than, say, like the Hubble. And so therefore it's able to pick up very faint light or energy at a great distance, which with much more clarity, so we can actually see what we're looking at rather than just pixels. Another thing that's kind of interesting that relates to the eyes too is that so different animals have different vision capabilities. Like for instance, there are many animals, say birds, that are able to see magnetic fields and whatnot. And so that's how, like, a bird can fly like clear across the Atlantic and not get lost, because they're able to see something and follow it, which is pretty neat, which is possible for humans too. Cats can see really good at night, something to do with that shiny stuff on the back of their eyes. There's a few animals that are like that, and they say that cats can see into other dimensions, essentially, just meaning that what we see right now is just the fourth dimension, which is space, or which is like length, width, height, and then passage through it. So 4 dimensions, but cats can see something else, like possibly whether it be vibrations, or say, just like as an idea that there are beings that are occupy the same space, that are outside of phase with us, and so they're able to pick up on that kind of stuff and actually perceive these entities which are here but we can't see because our eyes aren't sensitive enough. Another way to think about it or look at it is to do with, say, like radio frequencies. It's all here, but you're not picking up on it because you're not tuned into that. You're not receptive. You don't have a receiver that's capable of picking up on that kind of a wavelength. And so you require a device to do such a thing. Or say, like with a gun, like with a hair trigger, it has it's very sensitive. It doesn't mean that it's fragile. It just means that it is receptive to very small amounts of movements. And so there's another one of these things So it's like a word that kind of ties in with this, and it is a connoisseur. So a connoisseur is someone who has the ability to discern subtleties, and whether it comes to wine or some kind of food or music, you can tell the difference. You have the ability, whether it's natural or cultivated, you have this ability to tell the difference between very slight variations in things. Yeah, and so I just think that it's an important thing to wrap your mind around. Of course, there is such a thing, I suppose, as being overly sensitive, but it's like, that's applying kind of an idea to that. It's like, well, sensitive is not a bad thing. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing. So something that is relevant to myself is like my yoga practice, which is centered around meditation. And part of the idea, as I understand it, with it is you do certain practices, breathing practices, and just lifestyle things that you do to raise your vibration. And in doing so, you make yourself more receptive to higher vibrational energy. You're able to tap into a broader range of ideas of high level thinking and that kind of stuff. And just to have like an expanded conscious kind of awareness. And it's very much tied in with diet too. I mean, I personally have been on a journey with diet where I am eating lighter and lighter, and in doing so, my body becomes more receptive to the things that I put in it. So I don't eat hot sauce anymore, and it's good because then you can do more with less. You don't need so much because you're able to utilize what is there. It's just another thing like salt. If you eat a lot of salt, you become numb to it. You're not as sensitive to it, and then you need more. And it's the same thing with hot sauce, but it's probably more to do with like the mucus lining that your body creates to protect itself from the super spicy capsaicin kind of stuff. Or it's a thing too with diabetes. It's like if you are just always eating, your body becomes less receptive to insulin, and then you end up requiring an artificial amount of insulin to boost your insulin because you've reduced your insulin receptivity. So, but which is something that can be dealt with as well. That's not something I'm going to talk about right now because health is it's a tough one for a lot of people, especially to do with things that are supposedly not curable or that you have to just live with for the rest of your life. But yeah, anyways, sensitivity, it is a good thing. For me, it is the goal. I love being able to pick up on things that, say, others cannot. Like, for example, to do with stuff psychological, specifically to do with the ego, when you can tell because you're trained or you've noticed, but you're able to see when somebody dips into their ego and they stop, or say, like when they start getting, when they go to that place and you can pick up on it, and then because you know what's happening, then you don't, I don't know how to say it, get lost in it. You don't, because you can see what's unfolding, you're able to say, make sure that you're not going into your own ego and not providing fuel for the situation, so you can essentially neutralize your influence on what is going on. and and just create a more hospitable environment where then a person who is going there can come back out, more towards the heart center and whatnot. So yeah, sensitivity. I think it is a fascinating topic. It's not a bad thing at all. I mean, there are good and bad forms of everything, of course. Like say masculinity. Is there such a thing as toxic masculinity? Of course there is. With something as broad spectrum of an idea as the masculine and masculinity, of course there's such a thing. Because if masculinity is to do with, has something to do with structure and then boundaries, and so what is it like in control? Because those kind of ideas tie together. So it's like self-control. Absolutely, 100%. That is, of course, is the idea, self-control. Controlling other people, this is what I would call, or trying to control or manipulate others, this is toxic masculinity. So, and being able to tell the difference between those things is more about sensitivity. But anyways, that is all that I have to share about that. And hope this serves somebody like it serves me, because I certainly enjoy the subject. I've been digging into this piece by piece for many years, and I just feel like I have enough pieces that I'm ready to share. So hope it works for you. It works for me.